You're listening to the Sonny Brown Breakdown. Now, it is time to break it down.
Welcome to episode number 30 of the Sonny Brown Breakdown. I'm your host, Sonny Brown, and in this episode I talk to Priit Mihkelson. Priit is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with a pretty unique take on things. He's recently spent his time focusing on teaching defensive postures and escapes with multiple instructionals available on BJJ Fanatics, where he goes over things like back escapes, turtle, guard retention system, and a unique kind of understanding of how they all link together. He's also recently launched his website, defensivebjj.com, where he explores those topics further, and we discussed that site in the interview, which took place right before its launch. We also discuss how Priit structures his class and sparring sessions to encourage new behavior, but then the bulk of the interview is actually spent discussing the practice of an instructor teaching a technique or a class and then going 1, 2, 3, clap, and then everyone in the class claps back at the instructor. And the reason this came about is I'd seen a YouTube video of Priit's, which was, I think, entitled "Want to Get Better at Jiu-Jitsu" on YouTube, and it was, you know, an interesting talk. And I recommend, if you enjoyed this, definitely go back and check that out. It's on the Globetrotters in Action YouTube channel. And one thing he discusses in that is his dislike of that practice of the clap, of the 1, 2, 3 clap. And I could tell that it really did bother him. And I'm kind of, you know, I should set the record straight. In my learning of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, my coach, Anthony Lang, he never used the clap. But somewhere along the way, I picked it up and I will use it. And I was kind of like, oh, what's the big deal? You know, and I could tell it really bothered him. So as I was speaking to him about this interview, I kind of joked, half joking, half serious, as all good jokes are, that I'm going to ask you about the clap. And maybe I was like, you know, we'll get into it. And Priit was ready. He came ready to rock with the list of things on the clap, and we did have a great discussion actually on it, because it took us through a lot of different topics stemming from that, like why these rituals are used, or public manipulations, as Priit called them, you know, how they form, why we should keep them or maybe discard them, why people would want to do things, how they, you know, get perpetuated. And then we even get into self-determination theory and motivation and ways that people getting enjoyment from doing group activities. So it does lead us down some interesting areas, and I hope you enjoy the conversation too. If you do, please let me know at sonnybrown.net. Send me an email. I've got links to all other YouTube breakdowns up there. Also active on Instagram at Sonny Brown Breakdown. You can message me there, and of course leave us a review on iTunes, 5 stars hopefully. And that's it. So let's get into the podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Great. Yes. How are you today, mate?
I'm awesome. Yes.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm, like you see, I'm in my new apartment, so things have changed since the last time we talked.
Yeah.
I managed to actually upgrade my crib, so I'm doing pretty okay. So yeah.
Excellent. So, I mean, that's probably a good place to start, where it's been about a year since we talked last, and I've been talking to a lot of other people with getting, you know, to ask other people about ideas that are similar to yours. And you've kind of been going on more of a tear of down the path that you were on of developing more systems, and at least putting you've got a lot more DVDs and such out recently, and been doing a lot more seminars. And I guess the best place to kick off is, in that last year, what's been the biggest change or the most important realization that you've had about your jiu-jitsu game?
Yeah, I always have those hard questions. So you know, it's hard to notice. It's because, you know, if you've watched the hair grow, you don't see it. You know, you have to visit a couple of months, and then you see that things grow. But let's say, like I would say, the biggest thing for me personally would be definitely getting my own place. That's the biggest thing. I appreciate that. I never had a real estate before. I always rented stuff. So, and I guess the Jiu-Jitsu community and all the, the busy schedule and everything, doing DVDs and stuff, it all has contributed a lot for me to have this kind of milestone. So that's kind of really, really awesome. I guess some DVDs are out. Yeah, like what is out? What is out? Baby bridges and running mans and back escapes, and so those kind of things are out. I think I have 5 DVDs now, so we're still gonna make a 6th one. I think the hitchhike escapes are coming. Well, now I'm actually in isolation right now. I hope it ends tomorrow. I came from Sweden, so we have a rule that you come from Sweden, it's a red country in that sense. So you take a test in the airport that was negative, and then after 7 days you take another test, and if that's negative, you get to go back to population, so to speak. So after this, I'm probably Friday or whatever, we're gonna start filming again. And also, I think the biggest thing right now would be we're trying to launch, let's say, our site or my site, defensivebjj.com. So I think in that sense, my 1.5 years traveling contributed to this project a lot. And maybe this, Corona happened also, but in a way, maybe this is also a good time to do it because the exposure, maybe you would consider like, Priit, why didn't you do it before? But maybe I didn't felt like it. Right now the feedback and everything has been really overwhelming. People using it, having a really great, results. Only negative feedback I usually get is towards my personality. Some are turned off, some like it. So, but usually nobody bashes the system, that the defensive structures and stuff. So in Reddit and everything, usually it's never like in a negative light, so to speak. So that's being awesome because the work has to speak for itself, and then I help, that otherwise it becomes just a hype. So after a year doing this, 1.5 years, so we did like an accidental advertisement campaign in Facebook, kind of like, oh, people send me stuff that you're doing my things. And it became really big movement, actually. People are showing like they're practicing here and there over the world. And then I keep the other guy, the Mr. at the moment. So I was contacted. I always appreciate that if people who know how to make money contacted me, that then the product is ready. Otherwise, I have to sell it myself. So I have to wait usually a little bit longer. So people would contact me, not I would go from door to door. Mm-hmm. And then so that project, we're trying to come out with this maybe end of the September, beginning of October. It's kind of behind me a little bit because I'm in isolation. I can't film content right now. So I have to go back to the gym and start filming again. So we come up with a minimum amount of content we're thinking is enough for to start. And then the potential is really big, and we kind of understand what people want, So what they have said they would need maybe from me, and I'm gonna keep my niche. So that seems to be also weird in that sense because it's I don't know a lot of online environments that are actually concentrating on this. So it's kind of like a weird market. Defensive BJJ, I'm going because clearly I don't want to compete with Galvaos and all those, high level online sites that have a bigger name. But in the field I'm going, it's a competition is weird there because I actually have something to say. So that's an interesting take to find a niche that I can work with, or all around the world in that sense that the clients are everywhere, not only in Estonia. I would be stuck. So that's definitely like just happened, and I think in July or something, it popped up the opportunity to do this. So I'm very happy about that. I'm kind of also like I don't want to call it like imposter syndrome, whatever people say, but I'm always kind of in doubt, that can I pull it off? This is this. Maybe it's like I'm like a one-trick pony. People do this and then it's nothing. And then what after? If they know the Hawkins and stuff, then what after that, you know? But it seems like I still come up with other things, like by just interest, and it keeps growing. So it gives me a little bit faith. And if it's even a project for a couple of years, so, you know, we go from there and we'll see what happens. What else has happened? Club is doing good. In Corona, everybody, you know, kind of went down, but overall we grew. So it was a good year because I think I traveled till the mid-March. So I was kind of busy, you know, traveling pretty much every weekend. And I had a nice Thailand, China trip, actually. I left China before everything kind of blew up there. Yeah. So, but I went to MMA Absolute Shanghai.
Okay.
I was there. So they hosted me. So it was a really nice trip. I took my girlfriend with me, or right now the wife. So that year has been really, really awesome, actually. The traveling and everything. So, and again, the traveling, getting the new apartment, my own site, DVDs, research. Yeah. So I can't really complain. So that's about a recap.
That's a good recap. Sounds like things are going well. So
yes,
let's maybe focus in then on the website that you're doing, the Defensive BJJ. What is going to be, you know, the difference between that and your instructional series that you've already got out there? And aside from the content, is there any way that you're presenting your information differently through there online?
So I guess some things are changed. You know, somebody said that's why Eddie Cummings didn't do any DVDs, I think, because he thought, you know, he will always discover new things every year. So what's the point of putting out something that in a year, let's say it's old? You know, old would be much to say, but let's say there's new details and stuff. So kind of like maybe it makes it look like he's lying or something, you know? But I think it just works the way also technology works. Every year we have a new iPhone that's better than, you know, last one. Every year we have a better Intel chip. Every year we have a better SSD cards. We just can't make right away the best ever, you know, that technology, understanding, everything grows. So I know that it's time to little bit redo the turtle, because now we know more. Already I'm playing with seal feeds and stuff. So I think maybe I could build the grilled chicken differently. So I think in my site, I can do it differently, more detailed, maybe do something I missed in a DVD or what some people have said, I should have done this and this part I didn't get. And so, and then I think, let's say DVD, I still like the format of DVD because it's just one, you just watch it from the beginning to the end. I think with clips and stuff, you kind of have to put it together, you know, like from the site. So it might be difficult. Somebody actually compared it to like if somebody, you know, writes articles and then makes a book after a year about them, you know. So so that's what we're planning actually to do with Anacondas and Darstrokes defenses, that we're going to put them on my site. They're not there at the moment, but we're going to put them on their site, what we know, and let it all sink in, so to speak. We call it version 1. It still works, but we know, you know, if you do something, if you haven't tested for long, it's, you know, that's how everything starts. But it is enough to put it out there. And then we have a feedback, we train, we fail, then maybe version 2. And maybe after a year and a half, we can put a DVD about it. So we have done all the research, and then we put everything out with new details and stuff. I know some people will say, but I get my clips cheaper from the site. But then again, you want new information, new details. And that's the, you know, maybe 10% extra why it costs a little bit, makes sense to put it in a DVD and put it out there for a world. So we might go with that format. So online gives us time to put that information out, really test it, be open about it, that this is experimental. Still works, but, you know, we have to get more evidence and details. So also what the site will be, probably roles. My roles, also people can, I guess, put their roles up. There's going to be a forum and everything else. But I guess there's also chances that they can ask me to comment the roles in some format. I don't know how it works yet, but I think there's going to be a possibility to choose. But definitely my roles or my guys rolling, that maybe I tell them something, I film. So I can comment them and put it up, like free in that sense. There's going to be, we're trying to make also, let's say, the idea is to do YouTube and competition or UFC breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
We can't show the material in a way, because it's copyrighted, but I can, keep the computer open towards me, and then I can show stuff what happened, like Gracie Brothers are doing.
Yep.
So that provides a little bit traffic to the site. Then the last Iceland video kind of blew up. With all this how to get better in Jiu-Jitsu, it got almost 18,000 views, and really the feedback has been really, really awesome. That people are interested and they're like, oh, somebody finally talking about the methodology. I think it's not only me. I know the Rogue was there, so there's School of Grappling and everything else. So, but there's more people talking about it. So I'm thinking of maybe putting like let's say technique learning templates. That's the idea. How do I teach the triangle to the beginners using the backwards methodology example, or how do even, I would say, I don't think it's gonna be like 100 videos of that, but I think how to run a class. It's not gonna be like, oh, this is the best way, but this is the way that tries to answer the old question better. And I give certain modules, the warm-up module, technique module, drilling module, how you can play with them, how you can change them up, what kind of methods to use. So that could be because people are maybe without coaches somewhere and they want to, blue belts, purple belts, they want to run a good class. And so that information could help them. So that's the idea. And so a lot of those kind of, and definitely I'm trying to be also active there in forums and stuff maybe. And we're trying to eventually build a community that answers, that maybe not me as an authority, but some other people that are competent or whatever. So we'll see how it figures out. We will try to scale it, that invitation stuff, let people in, then maybe let more people in. So we'll see what kind of problems come out, as a testing project. So that's not my field. So that's the other person. And so my thing is just to build content and I guess explore, innovate, and put material out, and we'll see how it goes. So and definitely puts a lot of pressure on me. And that's how it's different from the DVD project also. I think there's more I think probably my rants, I can rant about some stuff that there's not many topics, but I guess there's some topics that close to my heart I can rant about. That's like a half joke in a way, but why not? People seems to like rants. And then so the possibilities are let's say greater there. And we'll see how it works with fanatics because, we don't have any laws between us and them. So like Galbao has his site and he does videos with, fanatics. So we'll see how the dynamic starts to work because clearly the way Galbao sells and the way how let's say fanatics uses me to sell my DVDs are different. The name value is different than everything else. So also that's why I felt maybe I would need my own voice because I would like to differentiate myself a little bit. And if I don't try, I don't find out. That's a really, really usually cliche things to say. Sometimes they're justified, sometimes they're not. So I have to be honest, towards myself and really go, do I have anything to say, because I can crash and burn. But it really seems to be, there's a movement, I guess you've noticed people, messaging me feedbacks and stuff that I usually post in my Facebook site. It is really growing. And so I think it will be the right time to start messing with them. And we have enough fans, so to speak, I guess, supporters that are willing to jump into the, wagon, another hype wagon or whatever it is. And we go to there and we get feedback and then we open it. We try to maybe catch the wider audience. And I guess if the value is there on our site, and if we, fix all the bugs and we'll see how everything works, then people would gladly recommend that site. And I think the price is also, I guess, good because right now it's $14.99 for a month. So it's kind of 12.6 euros. Not that expensive. In that sense, it's not going to be like, oh, you don't value your information, but I guess we have a different selling strategy. And then so that's kind of to answer your question, how it differentiates. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you're using it then kind of as a way that you will be able to beta test the ideas amongst a larger sample size of people and use that to get feedback on what works and what doesn't before coming to a finalized solution. So I think in some ways that might speed up the process then of your development and also, give you more definitive answers on some of these moves while you get that feedback improving.
I think it's, because I think people also, they need to know how those innovation happens. Because it's fun to see that, you try something and then you change it. So it's not going to be like every video of this, but maybe there's going to be a section, maybe experimental stuff, and then we'll show what we're working on and what we're struggling with. And if something comes out, there's a version 1, I'm always going to be honest about that, and test it, and then we change it, but it's ready for a public. Usually this is how it happens in any science field. You just put it out there and see what people think, and it's usually robust, and then you fine tune it. But you're gonna, because the feedback is the most important thing. If it works, just right away, more like brains working on it, more feedback. This doesn't work. This doesn't feel right. So, and I think that process maybe, I don't know. I'm not a client of any online, so to speak, environment like Alva or Mendes Brothers. So I don't know if they're doing something like this, right? I think it's really honest process to show that what we're experimenting with and what's coming and what we're struggling with. And and then you go back for a year and then you see how everything happened, or, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm not ashamed of that process. It's not like I discover something and it works perfectly, This is, I think, follows that people think, oh, everything you come up with works fun. No, it's like a trial and error process. And something even works for 6 months, and then comes the detail that changes everything. I was like, God damn it, I didn't think about that. So I think I enjoyed this, and so I think in one way people need to see it happening live, and I think it's even maybe inspiring, or because people want to see people fail, So I will show a little bit failing there probably, and then going still forward, So.
Yeah, you are right. People do like to see people fail, which is why all these fail sites are great. But it's like the idea of a tightrope walker, It's only fun if they're up at a certain height where the chance of them failing is becomes interesting,
Yeah, because it's I always sometimes said, like maybe a year ago, whatever, I will do all the mistakes that people before me did, because that's why I'm trying to keep myself or make fun of myself a lot, or try to keep my head cool. That, people are saying, oh, Priit, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, well, it's I have to stop it getting to my head a lot, because the feedback is, mostly overwhelmingly positive. And so I still have to be Priit, and I have to surround myself with people that are keeping my feet grounded. And I don't like too many yes people around me, that I need my friends gonna say me like, fuck off, and those things. So if I get cocky enough, whatever. So it's one of the fears I have, because it has happened to so many people before that just things go wild. And maybe my stage is smaller, but as a human being, I'm destined to repeat, because so many people have done those mistakes already before. So that's kind of what I'm kind of afraid of, and I'm trying to prepare myself to those kind of things. And so always trying to be like, okay, I'm testing this, I'm doing this, and I like to hype a little bit things, and kind of like I enjoy the Facebook kind of like posting and spamming and kind of like this. But also in a way, I'm trying to keep myself honest and make fun of me a little bit, so I don't start to take myself too seriously.
Fair enough. I think it's always a good idea to have people around you that will be brutally honest to your face rather than be brutally honest behind your back.
So I still have my friends that I know I can trust. So
I think that's very key. So I think maybe if we can touch on then, you said you had that good talk on ways of improving the learning of jiu-jitsu that did quite well. And then we were talking about some different things that you've been the importance of experimentation. Is there anything from that talk that you gave that you had been like maybe since then experimenting with or looking to improve? Or is there anything you look back on that you would change what you said or just has changed since then?
I think only thing I left out, I noticed that I didn't explain well how we spar. That also in sparrings, I think I touched something where I said like we have rules in sparring and all those things. But I think I cannot remember. I don't remember what I said, like how much I said. But definitely, I noticed that. Let's say I could have talked more about the way we spar. The way we have rules in sparring, what you should do, what you should not do, how we praise a new behavior that you just learned in a class. That those new things will most likely happen. So we have like rules that if you try the new stuff you did in a class, resistance drops to 60 or 70% right away. And the opponent has to let you play those things. They don't have to let you tap you or whatever, but if it's a lock, maybe even tap you. But then those areas that we just did, it has to be praised because otherwise you forget and you don't test because it's new. And so we have a lot of those assisting rules for sparrings. And I think I could have elaborated more there. But it was like hour and 20 or whatever the format. So I couldn't go deep on all those things because I think with somebody I talked about, in Austria I tested, in Austria camp now, right now I had a lecture about how to teach a class. And so it was more narrow topic. And we talked about drilling and just as a technique section and drilling. And I easily talked one or 1.5 an hour just about very specific areas, how to do a warm-up, how to do a technique section, some always gray area, but what's the kind of optimal, and then how to drill and how to spar. So I clearly know that it was a fun test. That's why I did it. To see that can I do it also like specifically about class and not blabber about clapping and all other philosophical things that I think it's actually important. And I don't know if it was a joke from your part or not, but I kind of want to talk about it because
which part, the clapping?
Yeah, because it opens up very, very actually many things that I think Rob also touched in when you guys talked, and he was very even irritated when he talked about things.
Yeah.
So
anyway, for sure. We can touch on that. I am interested to go back and because you mentioned the rules that you had sparring and you mentioned if the person is trying something new, which I assume is something that you've just taught in a lesson, the partner's resistance drops to 60% to allow them to get some success and reinforce that as positive behavior. Is that a correct understanding of it? And then what are the other rules that you have for your sparring sessions?
See, you don't want to talk about clapping.
We'll get to the clapping.
No. I'm sorry. Just anyway. So that's one of the first rules usually when sparring starts. Okay, everybody. I always repeat that, but I guess it's a mantra everybody knows. That 60-70%. If it's necessary, even lower. That you have to let them pull off the technique. And if it includes a tap also, why not? And then if they get a couple of taps and you switch who starts in what position and then you let them tap you less, but kind of like first couple of rounds you do that more willingly. It's kind of fun. Let's say if it's right now we're dealing with 50-50s, kind of like a Lachlan style. So it's fun to stay there, defend. You could, break it off maybe because they don't control the leg well, but you stay in a pocket because they want to learn how to hunt your leg. So you give them that opportunity to, if that's the objective, and maybe it's not a heel hook, but maybe just, chasing the heel, controlling whatever. So you give them that opportunity because you have opportunity to learn how to, defend the leg. So otherwise you're not going to do it because it's dangerous in a way. You want to win, but if you have that rule and you're being a good partner, so you're being praised for having that behavior because your partner clearly thanks you later that, you let me try stuff even if you could have escaped. So you're being a good human being, and they can learn something that's fresh, new. And because of that, maybe they have more understanding how to do it in sparring, and they forget it less, so to speak, because the recall effect, they can practice the new thing all over them. What's the point of class when you don't do it after the sparring right away? So I find that's a very important rule. And I also find that when you do it this way, I think it keeps the sparring interesting because the rule has a side effect that sparring changes. Because, if you roll, sparring keeps to become like a repetitive. And that's why I don't like about sparring, because you start to just do your own things all the time. And you just get better at them. So, and it really, in some point after years, it just gets boring. And it's a really rabbit hole you don't know you're going into, because it's slowly, you're getting into it. Like we talked earlier, like you don't see the change. And finally, after 10 years, you go like, oh shit, how am I here? So with those rules, I change the sparring all the time. So I'm saying that if you allow your partner to chase the leg and develop 50-50, if you've done your job, then you can play your game. So if you've done your, community service, so to speak, and then you can play whatever you want to play. But I force them to adapt because I know it's hard. I know they don't want to do it. It's new. They're not good at this. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So I have to create certain drills and rules that those behaviors both partners are praised. They're acknowledged. They're like. They kind of, if you let people play and don't escape right away, you just have better relationship later. You build the trust with people, or friendships better. And if you pull the leg out right away, 50-50 example, that they know you're the asshole that doesn't allow people to train. So you get a reputation. So in that, you don't want that. So you're forced to kind of give it. And in a long run, so let's say that if the topic is month or a month and a half even, or let's say 2 months, then every 2 months, the sparring changes. So I force you to develop something else all the time. So, and I think that keeps also the sparring fresh. I think it's very important that you're in a learning mode in that sense, that you're trying something new, learning, and get to do your own stuff. Because doing the new stuff, and most people don't, let's say, they don't have that experimental mindset, or they're working on something. They're just coming to the class and they're doing what they're told, and maybe they don't have methodology to use it in a sparring. So, but I like that exploration and new things, and that the feeling of, that's what beginners are sometimes, maybe too much, but they're overwhelmed, but there's so much to learn, and the feeling of feeling like a kid again, like, oh, this is new. And so I feel that methodology encourages that, always that the learning process, and it's fun. It's not punished. You don't get to nobody slaps your fingers if you fail, because they give you stuff first and then they give you less stuff. And so all these kind of experimental things are encouraged. So I find it's really, really nice that we have those kind of rules. That's kind of, I think the main one usually, and then I lead with some other stuff. But even if it's a lapel, maybe I'll give them lapel more than average. I usually say, like, let them have the lapel. Don't grip the lapel grip. You have a chance to get really good in, developing defenses, and they can play. Otherwise you just grab the lapel, they can't do it. And what do you gain from there? So if it's a competitive, competition class, there are different ideas, rules, and then I guess you can train not to give them the end of lapel. But if it's just a class, and you want people to get really good in lapels, so you need to give them that, because you have better partner to train with. So I find, maybe I think the talk also, Iceland talk, maybe if you listen to that. So our classes are pretty, and I'm free rolling, drilling heavy, like 10 minutes maximum warm up just for certain reasons. Then maximum 20 minutes technique, not even me teaching, but they're more trying and some details. And then we drill already. And then half an hour sparring afterwards. So I think people usually say people come to Jiu-Jitsu for Jiu-Jitsu. So let's do mostly Jiu-Jitsu in a class. Yeah. And then I still do the warm up because I find if people train twice a week, like recreational people, I think there's more benefits of the regular warm up because maybe that's the only time they move even in a week. So to go over all the shoulders and stuff, mobility, I think there's benefits.
Yeah.
Other way they're lazy. They just they don't warm up because you don't push them because work day, kids, everything. So I kind of make them do the overall warm up. So if they train more, I guess then they can do drills for warm up or whatever they do. But twice a week, I kind of force them to do it. So that's why I do it. I think in competition class, maybe you do differently. If people train already more than twice or 3 times a week, then you can vary it because clearly drills and everything else are even for that class, maybe more sport specific. So there's arguments of, different ways of doing that. Depends what your class goal would be in that day,
Yeah, I think that makes sense to have it split between just, your hobbyist and your competitor, because if your competitors are coming, they should be able to take the responsibility of warming up on their own. And they should, if they have any injuries, anything they're working on, they should be able to take care of that themselves. Whereas, but
that those competitors and those purple belts, that's why the internet is full of memes that purple belts arriving late after the warm up.
That's the memes. The truth is often spoken in jest. Sometimes there's a lot of truth in those memes.
It's only funny because it's 10% true.
That's right. That's right.
So I find even if you're done 7 years. You still need that push a little bit. And also I think people are willing to push if they're earning their freedom, And you do your thing, your community service. They know it's good for them to move twice a week. If it's if I would ask them every day do that warm up, maybe it would be but everybody knows twice a week, kind of minimum for recreational purposes, for health and everything else. They kind of suck it up because they know they have to. They whine about it sometimes, but they know they have to because, I know it's good for me. But, more than that, maybe they start to. But I don't necessarily even think that they need to do more than that, like a traditional warm-up, because I think depends what your class is. Maybe it's side control, maybe guard passing, maybe something else. You can concentrate on that specific class, do more those kind of drills that make them warm for that class. And then if the class is progressive, kind of like a small warm-up techniques, they get warm anyway. And then there's drilling, and they're already warm enough. So the warm-up is, it's not, very misunderstood in the mainstream jiu-jitsu with all those jokes going around that actually I've seen myself, those 20 and 30-minute warm-ups. So it's kind of sad that it's still happening. And it's sad also that people are defending those things. And in a way, I'm not trying to push you towards clapping, but
let's do it. Let's go clap.
No. It's one of the things that people go what's in harm in that? And they have really weird reasoning. So that's kind of maybe to lead to the topic we wanted to talk.
Let's get there. So I think I really like the idea of the sparring where you're saying, putting it out there to people to let them have their partner succeed more than average, and the idea of it doing community service, I think, is a good way of describing it, because I always try and emphasize that, people want their training partners to get better in that class, because then, rising tide lifts all ships. Everyone's going to get better if your training partners get better. And even the other week, I was a couple of times giving people just telling people that when we go into the rolling portion of the class, I was telling them that I give them one ego get out of jail free card for if they go for the new move and it fails, the one we've been trying, and they get swept or it doesn't work and they get choked out, that they get the pass that it doesn't count against their ego. They're allowed to do it. And the person who got the tap, it didn't really count if they're trying something new, just to give them that kind of freedom.
Yeah, you have to kind of incentivize the behavior. So I've done it this way. Probably there's your ways, and then we can actually discuss about it. Like have not right now, but we can have a discussions. What would be the best incentive? Because different people have different ideas, and that way maybe someone idea is the best. You go like, oh, we take this because this guy thought everything out, and this incentive works the best. We have some variety, and that's kind of like scientific method. Try it. Because clearly one person can't think everything, but the point is that the issue. Okay, how do I incentivize the behavior? And also I think that's also misunderstanding that I think people have. That I also like when people actually go rough, because usually that's for competition trainings. I think because most people when they enter competition they realize, oh shit, they're going full force. And always when it's a technical role and stuff, they're thinking they're good. And when somebody even less technical than them goes full force and beats them, they have a really oh shit, what happened? So I think occasionally even the recreational people should go harder. Coach can decide how long and what's the method. Maybe one round, maybe half an hour. Everybody goes hard once a week, once in 2 weeks. Depends, what is safe. Because if you clearly train in that 100%, 90% region a lot, your injury risks are higher, and also recover and everything else. So, but I definitely suggest that's what builds character. That you sometimes go really hard, and then you actually see what you have, and it's really also ego kind of crushing, I think, and so, but. For the recreation people to always train there, I think maybe that's not the point, but definitely people should not fool themselves that, it's nothing wrong when somebody does a technical roles only and not, they don't go, hard, but then they have to always, in a way, have that doubt. What if, So that's why when somebody, depends again, if it's healthy or not to do, but I recommend kind of that to still have that feeling when really go hard in my age class or in my weight class, whatever. So what happens? I think it's really refreshing and keeps people honest.
Yeah, okay. And I think that's maybe the idea of then keeping that honesty with people is important when talking about martial arts, where especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where people can come to give maybe a level of undue respect to their instructors, or that people do respect instructors as they should as well, as professionals of their craft. And I think that can lead us into the clapping question.
You took the bait.
Yeah, I took the bait. I got her. Now, I might play devil's advocate in this situation. So to give people a bit of background, in the talk on YouTube that Priit had given at the BJJ Globetrotters camp, it seems like you do have quite an axe to grind against the clapping in and during a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class or wrestling class or other things, which, to give people an idea, it's the 3, 2, 1, boom, clap and go. I won't clap there to blow people's eardrums out. But that really seems to grind your gears, as they'd say. And my understanding of it is, for you, it seems to be that is a symbol of authoritarian control, that as an adult, you should not be forced to clap when someone tells you to. And you're quite capable of deciding when and how you're going to start the drill with the information. You don't need that symbolic reminder. Whereas for me, I think it's generally harmless. It's just a way to bring everyone's attention back in. People might be daydreaming and not knowing when they weren't even listening to you talk, unfortunately. And then they hear the clap, they might snap back to reality and know that they better get the show on the road and start drilling. Have I simplified it too much, or what's your take?
So actually, where's the camera? I actually wrote down what I thought about. I prepared myself.
Let's go. I couldn't have let this one go through to the keeper then. We had to bring it up.
I know I take shit for this also, but let's say your attitude is, very libertarian or something,
Sure.
What's the harm?
What's the harm?
I actually find that that's how a lot of things. I'm not sure. I don't know. Let's say I think it's stupid to say I don't know anything about politics, but I'm not into politics. So
the road to hell is paved with good intentions, Priit. We know that.
Yeah. So anyway, so I find that it represents something. Also, like you said, authoritarian. You have to do it. And my kind of answer is also why, because what people usually say, they don't have a clear answer. Everybody. So what's bothering me is like, let's say, if you do public manipulations, yeah, like also teaching method is a public manipulation. You should have reasoning, like why you do it. I run my class in a way with drills and stuff because I want certain results. And if I get worse results, I change methodologies and then find out. And different kind of maybe parts Jiu-Jitsu that maybe they need different kind of drills and stuff. But I'm always at the why. And the question is, what does the clapping symbolizes? First of all, if you do it a lot, it's like a Queen song you listen every 10 minutes, like We Are the Champions. Then you hate the song. In the first day, you will hate the song. Yeah. And with the focus claps, it's like after a while, it's not even a focus clap anymore because you get used to it. You understand? Okay. So it's a short-term effect that actually pleases you, but on a long term, it actually kills it because you need a new certain you need a new high. So it becomes. Have you looked around? I challenge everybody. Have you looked around in a gym? Usually new guys are like this, maybe first day, but the older ones are like, they're like in a class every time. And so I actually give you, I'm not against clapping. The only question is that bothers me is like people don't question the public behavior. Why the public manipulation? And what happens is people change their opinion why it's good very, very often. And, if you argue with somebody and then you actually change your arguments and stuff, you kind of lost the argument already, yeah? Because, what about this? Because usually it's like, let's say, what's the harm in that? Then I explain what's the harm in that. Then, but it's good for social skills and it keeps people. But then I debunk that. Then they change the argument again. Because it's not really thought out. And I'm not saying that it's not useful or you shouldn't, but I'm just asking why. Because if this is the way you sneak in different behaviors that can actually, slowly kind of do something and finally people go like, how the hell we got here? Because this is like, first, this is like a very, very dark scenario maybe, then you
How bad
let's
can
say
it get
clap.
Starting with a clap? Let's go.
Yes, then maybe you clap, maybe you bow to the mat, maybe you call your coach professor, maybe then you have to buy my key, And for all of them, you can go, what's the harm in that? Like if somebody wants to be called professor, you go like, but what's the harm in that? If somebody needs to, you have to bow to the mat. And you go like, why? What's the harm in that? You can always have that reasoning and kind of like a victim reasoning, what's the harm in that, And suddenly after a couple of, 20 changes, that everything adds up to the weird environment, when everything is being controlled, you have to buy their gis, you have to do, it's a very manipulative. And and the other argument is usually, people like it. And so that's also a very weird argument but I run the class in a way using methodologies because not people in a way, they don't know what they like, so to speak. Yeah. So I have to run a class in a way that makes sense in a scientific way. And I guess people start to like it, but they don't know the methods. If they could choose how to run a class, maybe they would choose differently at all. So I have to be like educated one that goes like, okay, this is the way we run a class. And if you go out, people like it, but then why you let people buy their gis and why not wear them whatever they like, So the argument that, people like it is also kind of weird. And I really, let's say, there's one guy, Steve from Sweden. He has a Poseidon BJJ club, Stockholm. And what he did, I always mention that when I talk about clapping. He did a very nice thing in a seminar in a Heidelberg camp, 200, 250, whatever, the people in the class, maybe 200. It was a big camp. And he did this, okay, everybody, one, like a Queen song. pump,
Yes.
pump, pump. And imagine like 150, 200 people doing that. And it was really, really cool.
Yeah, I had Dean Lister do that at a seminar once.
Yeah, and I think in that environment, it fitted. But imagine now if every coach, every class did that during the camp. You will hate that song. Yeah?
Sure.
So there is an environment when, let's say, if somebody gets a belt in our gym, we clap. Also, that's why I'm against, like, in the end of the class hugging kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's a Brazilian tradition, and I don't think it's necessary because it wears out. If you've seen people in the end, nobody concentrates. But let's say we save it, like if somebody gets a belt, and then if we do Ironman, everybody rolls, like they roll with everybody that comes in. And after that, I tie the belt back on and raise them up, and then we, kind of hug, and everybody comes and shakes the arm and goes like you went through something hard. And then the hugging is like very special, So I think that every day doing this, every day in and out, I think it devalues the activity. So that's also the clapping it grows old really fast. And I know why people like it also. Like if somebody new comes in, everybody's in a white gi, that's why army is appealing, uniforms. That's why girls like the uniforms, And if somebody new comes in, they see all white keys. Coach goes 3-1, poof, everybody claps.
Powerful.
They like that. Yeah, it says like control. It says something discipline, And that's why sometimes people come to Jiu-Jitsu to find discipline in that way. But I think it's also one reason what people say is, it's a social thing, builds like a group feeling. Yeah, kind of everybody does something together. Yeah, why not? But my argument is usually it happens like this. I'm probably gonna hurt some people, but if all of your class structure is messed up, then clapping will not save it.
Sure.
So that usually it's like this. People will use us. People use hugging. People clap, but then the teaching methodology is crap. And they're doing all the fad things, so to speak. You understand what I mean?
Like a Band-Aid solution with an os and a clap to cover up.
Like fancy. They do all the latest fashion things,
Party trick.
And but then God damn it, fix your methodology. Stop with the 20-minute warm-up, And there's methodologies to make people more social. There's a feedback stuff we asked, we talked about, I think earlier. You give people feedback, you make them connect to each other, you change partners. Nobody as a beginner feels left out because everybody gets talked to. So it's not I know that if you clap, you feel like a group, but there's different ways to actually connect personally to people. That's actually way greater bond to have than in a group. Because you actually want individualism, yeah?
Yep.
That people do not disappear in a group. That you want that somebody gives to you feedback and you talk to somebody, personally and ask for their name. And I think those bonds are way, way stronger than just clapping. And also, let's say, I can just rant about it, I know. And also I've talked to I've talked to teachers about this, and so the evidence is super weird because teachers in a school don't use it, but the ones that teach kids, what they do is like I've read about it also. I haven't found any articles in the internet when people are using the focus clap to send people away.
But is it to bring them back in?
Yes.
That is more common. And the clap we'll do here in Australia is, and then the kids are trained to respond with that clapping kind.
That makes perfect sense. That's a super awesome. So I'm not against the clap. So that's what the methodology says, because everybody as a kid and an adult, everybody goes 5 minutes and they're wandering around. Yeah. Watch adult class. If somebody does technique, 10 minutes, and then people go every adult will go like this. And then you need that, come on guys, bring it back. Because everybody actually, I find when I watch classes, and then I know I'm biased and I want to look for evidence and stuff, but mostly what I see, everybody wants to try new things. If coach is explaining something, I guess if you explain something like 10, 15 minutes, they're all sleeping, and then you have to have a focus clap. But you shouldn't explain something 10 to 15 minutes anyway. And maybe you do it in a lecture format in that sense that there's a place for that. But in a class, usually you should teach in 2-3 minute sections maybe, yeah? And so people, you show something new, people are, I want to try it anyway. So why the double yes? They're anyway focused, they want to try. And maybe bring them back, So the argument also that you nicely pointed out, that I asked people that, okay, you're doing the clap, that you like the clap. But why? So you're using the clap to send people away. Wonderful. Yeah, you like it. But why do you ignore the science that says you have to bring people back? No, I don't like that. But it's not about the like, actually. It's like what we know. And also social behaviors are super weird, because what people think and how actually social behavior acts out later is usually different. You put some rules in place and people act weird that you can't really predict sometimes, like, oh, the rule actually worked like that. It created certain behaviors you couldn't predict. So, and in a way, I find it's like a word os, everybody goes os, or like, it's like a fad. I think it's English word. Yeah, like a fashion thing. Like if somebody famous did it and their gym's doing it, so we take that from that gym and I liked it and let's bring it to our gym. So, but it's like, why? And why would you make me do it? So if you want me to do something, like some behavior, I wanna know why. And I know it kind of bugs me, like way too much, that actually Ville from Iceland, one of the guys I worked with, kind of like that. He said like, he doesn't care about clapping also, but he's not so vocal about it. But I'm like, but somebody has to say something, We can't just then one thing sneaks in, other things sneaks in, and somebody has to stand up and go like, why we're doing this.
Okay, let me interject then and give you an example of why the clap won't necessarily lead to some of the other, we could say, cultish or just other behaviors that are considered negative side of that hero worship and too much authoritarian and control in martial arts. And I'd actually point to wrestling as being a good example, where they have the strong clapping culture as well, of the clap between to get people to drill. And that's, as we've talked about wrestling in our last chat, that's more the sport culture, and that doesn't have those kind of problems with hero worship, but they just do use the clap often in class as a kind of benign way to do it, right?
I thought about it. So, but that's interesting in that sense. So I'm not against the clap. I just want to find how it works and why it works. And let's say, where are the studies? Because let's say if you do a physical education classes in a school, like people go to school to learn how to teach. Do they use those methods? So
there's not necessarily. It will be more important to let people know the time that they're going to be doing something for. So you do want to give them a start and a stop. So like that they're aware of, okay, this is a start point, this is a finish point. Not necessarily, like there's nothing to say that clapping is the best way to do it, I don't think.
So that's what I mean.
You do need a start, right?
Yes. So I'm for that. So that's what I'm saying. Anyway, what you said actually was interesting, because in sports they do it. So now I'm going to make a really bad joke, but
go for it.
No, like I say, usually Jiu-Jitsu should be taught more as a sport, not as an art. Yeah. So some people totally misunderstand me because they think it's like competition all the time. But I'm saying like we should train it as a sport, as an activity with methods. And but let's say mainstream, I think in a way, or even competitors do it more. But the very simple mainstream Jiu-Jitsu is not taught as a sport. It's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes warm up, some techniques, and then you spar. It's definitely not a sport methodology, So we're taking over some methods, and we don't know what we're doing. We should change first everything else, and then let's say add clapping, So, and also the question would be, I understand that sports are doing it, and but also I would like to see or read about the test if wrestlers would do it without the clap, everybody clapping on the kids, and with the clap. because I know should be a start and a stop. Yeah, I agree that. Usually when I teach stuff, I usually do myself. I explain, okay, go. So I say a sign, and then I say, oh, stop, bring it in. So I do it. And I know Christian Gravert does it with a whistle. So he has a whistle in a class, actually in a Klotter cat. So he goes like, but imagine just a joke. Imagine that everybody has a whistle. And Christian goes 3, 2, 1, and everybody goes. Because it's kind of.
That's a good joke. I like it.
I don't know if it's the same thing because maybe the clap works and whistle won't, but maybe the whistle because you change the activity shows it's absurd. Because give everybody a whistle, and would you do it like 3, 2, 1, and then it doesn't work.
I want to protect my ears as much as I can.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you understand what I mean. So
I do, yeah.
When you put the activity, you give other ending, not a clap. You give like a whistle ending. It looks absurd, and could be also argued. No, it's a team building mechanism. So because somebody should argue with me in that sense that go like, but it's not the same correlation. I think in a way it is, but in a way I know that clapping is more friendly, so to speak, as a community. But I think the whistle serves the same purpose, and I know also let's say in competitions, basketball, people have this, everybody comes together, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but this happens mostly, I think, in a high stress environment, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think in training matches, I think it's different. Like if people train basketball, I think in a high stress environment, in a competition, when you go to war, you have your hakas, because imagine doing haka every goddamn class, like New Zealand.
Yeah.
You will water it down. It's a special moment. Guys go to war. It's a big game, and I prepare myself, and then let's fight. Yeah. So it serves a purpose, I think, and it's kept for those moments. Then you need the extra boost. And there's articles about it that you can read, that why people need a wrong self-confidence going to fight, because they need to boost themselves up, because they're in imminent danger and stress. So I understand in those competition environments, people do like, let's say everybody comes together, 3, 2, 1, go, And I know some clubs, they even do like after each class, they come together, 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm kind of in between all of this. So I'm open for discussion. I'm not like people say, oh, you're against it. No, I'm clearly not against it. I just want to find where we can use it, where we can't use it, where there is the fuzzy area that is a gray stuff, when we have to use it, and where it benefits us. Clearly, there's evidence that, doing this before the fight also benefits you,
Mm-hmm.
So we have those fake rituals that gives us the boost, And and I find that clapping can be in a classroom, regular classroom, can be easily left out and also it's not used in a class the way the science says. It's a little bit against what science says. And so my only question for people is like, show me the evidence. And if you like the clapping, why don't you do it the way that science says? Then bring them back also, that because we clearly have information that it's very useful to bringing focus back, not sending people away. So, and people usually don't have anything after that. I'm not saying you don't, but they're changing the arguments. Then usually it goes to that, I like it. And it's like, I understand you like it, but that's not the reason. It's like, some people are religious. I'm okay with that. But if you start to push your religion on me, we have an issue here. So, and if you like it, I don't mind. But if you do public manipulations, then we have an issue. Then we have to know why you're doing this.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're getting at now. So, first interesting thing that I'd like to point out, that I've anecdotal. I didn't bring enough evidence to this gun show. It seems that with the bringing kids back in clap, it's that's very common in primary school. But once it seems like when kids get to around teenagers, they kind of like, you do the clap to bring it back, and they hey, we're not playing that game anymore. You better come up with something new.
I understand. So that this is a good evidence, because let's say they do it in primary school. Fair enough. Science says more kids, I can understand also reasoning. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Why we are sending, nobody in the school sends kids away with a clap.
Yeah.
So where this came from? Where did it came from that somebody thought it was good that sent it away? In wrestling. Okay, in wrestling we use it. Why? Show me why this methodology is used in sports. Is the book or something? Show me some things, and I'm willing to read. And because if there's a benefits, I might even use it. Sure. But because I want to know how to use it.
And then your idea is like any of the common defenses that could be brought up for why the clap is used, like team building or attention or motivation. There's other areas that you could get better results in.
Yes. That
probably the person who's defending the clap for those reasons is not looking at, or they're not looking at changing the other areas where they could get bigger benefits from. Is that seems to be your axe to grind with it, right?
It's very awesome you actually understand me. Hey. Because you don't have to agree with me, because but that's what I'm saying. Also, we can fix certain things, and we don't, because every argument, because what I don't like about it, because people are changing the arguments. Then I'm fighting like I'm, six-headed, snake or whatever. It's like, okay, they're like, oh, I like it. But, argument, religion, blah, 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 you like it, but what's about manipulation of the group? Oh, but then it's a group thing. Okay, but group building happens this. We have this methodologies, blah, 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 with games and with feedback. And, okay, then they change another argument. So it's very, very hard that the people that like the clap, it's not like I'm attacking them, but they actually never thought it out. Because I also, in a human kind of way, I understand why it's appealing. I understand the visual. And clearly I liked what Steve did in a big seminar, like a pump, pump, pump. I understand the appeal. But I'm saying long term is the stuff going to be watered down. And I think the benefits of doing it every day, I think it's not there. And those things that they want to achieve with the clapping can be achieved with a different methodology also. So that's what you said nicely, that all of those arguments that something else does actually better than clapping,
Mm-hmm.
And and I think it's, I don't know, takes time, some 2, 1, 2, some 2, 3, 2, 1, So
I can understand that. The thing that popped to my head then was actually Frank Zappa, the musician, he's got a book, and I remember he talks about swearing in that book and like how to swear properly. I think maybe the thing is, and it puts forward the case that I quite liked, is that the less you actually use a swear word, when you do use it, the more it means.
Yeah, because I really, let's say, people make all the time the jokes on me that, I've said, I think somewhere like, I don't like hugging, I don't like hugging. But, it's a joke, but I think if you do it too often, in that sense, as a group in a jiu-jitsu, every class, I think it devalues it. And I really want it to be like, really, I want to keep the value. I really want to keep it special. And in those occasions, what I said, we do it. And and then it's special. Yeah. And and I know that's, let's say, I don't mind bowing, but I think it's a Japanese culture. Yeah. In that sense, I think in European also people bow, but we have different references to bowing, why we bow. Yeah. I think in like Japan and stuff, it's more like a very cultural thing. And I know hugging is more, let's say, Brazilian thing. They are, and when I went to Italy, everybody kind of goes like, and it was super weird for me to get to Italy, But I was like, whoa. And but it's a cultural thing, that people after the class, they like that kind of, physicality. Like, okay, this, ciao and whatever. And I think as a Brazilian culture, maybe they have that hugging thing because they're very kind of physical in that sense. But it's not jiu-jitsu, It's not that what should be taken from there. I take jiu-jitsu. good technique, good stuff, and then that's it. I don't have to take the culture with it, because the culture things could not work in a different environment. We have our own culture or behavior, that so we can make this. And so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like, even Saulo said that it's not like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's already Jiu-Jitsu, So I like Jiu-Jitsu, and we put that in our Estonian environment. Yeah, I guess we have to respect the roots and whatever people say. It's but then we do it our way, and I don't mind if some guys are hugging an end, whatever. Maybe it's their culture, but it shouldn't be like, oh, this is the way Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. And usually it's very authoritarian, like a view, and it's not meant to challenge. Then kind of those things always freak me out. And it's like, no, this is the way we do it, then this is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. No, clearly it's not. And when you start to argue with people, it's super weird, because mostly those dogmatic things are not thought out. And if you challenge them with logic, they just go like, and then they just give up, and they change the topic, whatever. So, and because they clearly lost the argument. And so I find those things, right now, with all this stacking in a guard and turtling and all those arguments that going around in the world, people are losing battles, argument after argument, because they don't have arguments. And they just, I don't like turtle. It's like, I don't care if you don't like, yeah? So it's like, you have to do it. Some people don't like hard training. You want to be a champion, you have to do it. It's so there has to be some logical reasoning, and not like, I don't like it. So, and so I don't mind those challenges, because that, gives food to my brain, so to speak, and keeps me, motivated, and shows that I have work to do. So kind of that's why I'm passionate, because about the clapping, because it represents something, the authoritarian thinking, so to speak, or what's next, that if we let this slide, then comes next behavior, because the OS came, and people are, even if you mention OS, you get like, oh, leave it alone, OS is a good word, It's like, have you any kind of sense of I don't know, kind of like a logical thinking that what you're saying at the moment? And they just keep coming, and, I keep questioning them. And it's kind of fun, because I think it makes them, the clapping, is it that guy who's for clapping, postponent or proponent?
Proponent.
Yeah, it makes them, maybe they have to, I will change my mind if you explain things to me, yeah? And so if you show new evidence and I think about it, then think about it, and then if you're right, I will change my opinion and try to use it some way or some, So, and I think that resistance helps them to figure out more like their arguments,
Yes.
But as long as I realize that they usually don't have. And it's like, it's not even a bad thing. I'm just like, okay, you have this argument. Now think about it. Is it enough? Yeah.
Yes. So obviously then we could look at the clapping as just part of a maybe a cultural thing passed down as used to set a bit of structure within the class. Now, am I right in thinking that you're with the anti-authoritarian kind of lean, that obviously we need some structure, but your position might be that people should be encouraged by the positive benefits or intrinsic motivation of sticking to whatever structure that you're providing them or offering them, instead of being forced to do it?
Whoa, okay.
That
was a brainful. So I guess, yes.
You wouldn't, like you say, you wouldn't have a problem with people high-fiving, hugging at the end of a class. They high-five, hug each other, whatever, shake hands, but it was all because at the end of each class they wanted to do it, not that it was expected that they do it.
Yeah, but I guess I hope I don't lie, because I've seen it also. Maybe some people have good roles and stuff, and they knuckle up later. And thanks, good class. And I think when it comes like this, it's pure. It's like honest, and it's not pushed that you have to shake arms. And I guess, when some people have, physical confrontation, and then they're like this, and then I'm in the middle man, and then I make them shake up because they have to. But usually if it happens naturally, some people have good roles. Why not? So I don't like that forced nice behavior. And I think that's also, very cultish, so to speak. Like everything outside looks very nice and then inside is rotten, like this is like documentary after documentary. You see those things, like I'm watching right now the Netflix, that Dirty Money. And then everything outside looks super fancy with banks and stuff. And inside is totally schemes and scams. So I don't like that, so to speak, that outside, clean geese, this and this, and everybody looks super clean. And that freaks me out because it's super clean. And there should be like a natural sloppiness to things, if things are too perfect, it's like something's fishy here,
Yeah,
because we're humans, and even like great athletes, they do mistake, and should be more like it's a working environment. People come there to have fun, they play, they do something hard, and it should be encouraged and not very like militarian in that sense. I think there's classes when this kind of military behavior is necessary, to do drills, to push yourself, because people have different goals. Somebody wants to become world champions. They're definitely different discipline, But I think it's easy with certain rules to make it look better than it is. So that I don't like. And if people feel comfortable, they will do the knuckle ups and they hug and do everything else. So I'm not saying everything is super, super good and the best in my gym. It's still a work in progress, because you're talking about 200, 300 people,
Yeah.
So, but that would be kind of idea that, to build environment when people are people, and you have rules that how can you behave, or you don't curse, you don't talk kind of like some sexist things in a gym, and, kind of like late racial slur or whatever, you kind of certain boundaries there are, like, but other than that, we're here to work. We're here to do a nice job, and we're here to help each other. And that already should build a good community that holds together, because we help each other and there's mutual benefits. And if clapping happens to be one of those things also, not only one thing, maybe somebody uses, good for them. But for me, I haven't found a good reason to kind of, in my classes, I know it's a new thing and that's why it's uncomfortable, but I don't find where I would put it also. It's like, explain something, I go like, go guys, try. Everybody goes like a couple of minutes, bring it back. So it's more like a home environment, and not so much like, I'm not saying not structured, but in a way also what my criticism is for clappers, usually the class structure is so messed up that the order that they're after is, like you said before, is reached with other methods better. And then maybe because it shows like, I do a method, I clap, and now we have a class structure. That's the last thing you should do, in that sense. If that's the last thing that's missing, good for you. Everything else is there. But if everything else is messed up, the clapping won't save you. It's like a fake fame. We clap, and everybody kind of looks that they're like one team. But are they actually also, So I better have methods that actually build human relations than just showing like, okay, everybody claps.
And so then have you found that the people, this might be then a bit anecdotal, but if they are quick to defend the clapping structure, but not keen to talk about some of those other methods of improving the class structure, that you kind of look at it like they've got that, well, you've got your priorities wrong. If you're gonna,
so that's what I'm always like wondering. Like all this clapping seems like, okay, you're accepting methodologies, yeah. The clapping kind of makes them, I'm open-minded. I'm using clapping. It's like, why don't you then read books like how to do this and that, and how to run the class better, and all the feedbacks. Like you have to use feedback in a class,
Yes.
It's. And the clapping just makes them look that they're, like kind of, what's the word? they're like doing everything they can, or they're up in their game, so to speak. I don't know what's the English word.
I kind of think of it as it's a veneer of maybe then methodology, or a veneer of professionalism.
Yeah, because it makes them look open-minded at all. I'm accepting new things. But guy, if you accept the let's say the clap without any evidence, basically, yeah, because you saw somebody you liked, like, you have your idols and stuff, and you go, oh, my idol wears this kind of boots. You like those boots right away because you like the idol, and but that's like you, yeah. But I would not go like, I like those boots. Everybody has to wear those boots now. So that would be like weird, yeah. So, but people, let's say, I usually also ask, if you accepted this method, like a clapping, why don't you expect without evidence everything else I say? Why you fight me on everything else? If I say feedback, if I say better methods, different way, no, I don't like them. So, and then so you're picking, like, kind of cherry picking, kind of weirdly. And I think that the reasoning I like it is very dangerous.
Sure.
Because it should be like, okay, why it works, what's the studies, do people do it? And maybe you start to like them because you read about them, you understand them better, and then you like them also more, because clearly it comes with that. You don't understand, you don't like. So it's weird that, yeah, they're taking over those, I'm what's the word, paraphrasing or something, making too much fun of them. It's not always that kind of package, but the os and the hugging and the clapping, usually they go together, yeah. But there's occasions also people only clap, whatever, but it's kind of like, the holy trio.
I've avoided the ossing and the hugging, at least. We do a fist bump.
Fist bump is good. It's very like a very these days Corona kind of nice.
It used to be the handshake, but then Corona came in.
Now it's only knuckles. So, and you can also argue that in Jiu-Jitsu we have a slap and a bump, and I think it's very Jiu-Jitsu kind of laid back way of kind of connecting. But sometimes I only do a knuckle.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go, oh, this is the Brazilian way we do slap and a bump. I don't care. Yeah. If I do just a knuckle, it's the same thing. Yeah. And sometimes it just makes it more Jiu-Jitsu, like an inside joke. We go like pum pum. So we do Jiu-Jitsu, So,
well, sometimes I'll add the slap, the knuckle, and then when the knuckles connect, my fist will explode in a.
I'm in cases like.
I'm the only one doing that, so.
Yeah, I'm guilty also, I guess, there. And sometimes also people misunderstand. I think I put a bump and they grab my knuckle. I was like, there's like, oh, I because sometimes it was this also. You've seen like people, somebody does clap and goes this way, and the one goes clap and bump.
Yeah.
So it's not always two bumps. So there's like so those are like, those things cannot dictate, they're like just, they come and go and we can play with this. And if you don't do this, you're a bad person and knuckles are not good. You have to bump first. I'm not going there, So this could be also like, oh, we do this in our gym. Who cares? The point is human interaction. And if you like it, I guess those things are like, the just knuckles. Do this. And if you don't want to do this, but anyway, as a humans, we're expected to do certain like, nice job, like maybe you shake the arm, that's most common, but tap each other back a little bit, that the shoulder kind of like, excellent training. So we have certain contact, and whatever it will be, so I think we cannot like talk about it like, every day about the clapping, but I think we have to like put the thoughts out there. So people could like, oh, Priit is wrong, Priit is this, and he's too passionate about it. And usually the argument is, you should let it go. And so that's kind of like, but those people, when they say that, in my mind, they lost argument. They don't have anything, and they go like, you should let it go, and it doesn't matter. And, if it doesn't matter, why do you do it?
Yeah, okay. So for you, it really is that clap is the symbol for kind of any like repeatable cultural interaction that's just done out of habit and no longer, and has lost whatever original intention may have had when it was developed. and it's gone on so long that people can't even remember why they were doing it.
Yeah, so that's, so that's why I'll also tell you a, very anecdotal story, but now the clapping is part of the method of giving classes. So it's not anymore like a, fun thing to do. It's like, it's a method, and I'm interested in methods, and I can't find anything. And if somebody reads this or, kind of listen to this, I'm interested in why wrestlers are doing this. Because maybe I even reach out to some in some point, or somebody can. But I would also argue maybe without the clap, they could have the same things. They could have the same results. So, and also, that maybe you have in your, Australia, you have maybe other story, but there's a story about wife did a, sausage in a pan, and she cut always the beginning and the ending. And the husband asked, why are you doing this all the time? Oh, my mother did it. And so but why is your mother did it? I don't know. And then, blah, blah, blah. And they went to their mother at some point, and they asked, mother, why did you always cut the beginning and ending? Oh, my pan was too small, And you go that's the same thing. You just started because, the pan was small, and then you saw your mother doing only this, and then you have a big pan, but you did it anyway. So, because you should not anymore because you have a bigger pan. So that's the anecdotal story in that sense.
Yes.
So, like you said nicely, that we don't know why it happened or where it came or what's the original intent. Maybe the original intent was actually very nice, because it could have been like Steven from Sweden that, he did it in a camp, and, maybe some other Steven, a couple of 10 years ago did it in a camp, and somebody, I like it. And then they took it to the class, understand? So it worked in a seminar format, but it clearly, I think it's overdoing in a class format, like everyday class. But in a seminar, also, I think in a globetrotter way, I don't think it can work, because if every coach, there's a 1 hour class, after 1 hour class in globetrotters camps, I think it could wear out very fast.
Sure.
But as a seminar, and Steve is very entertaining person, why not? But maybe it's the method that works in a certain environment, that is a special environment. People came together. There is a seminar. There is a, coach entertaining. We're all together, So why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Every class. So there's a leeway there. So I'm willing to have a discussion. So, and you said it nicely. How did it start? Maybe the intent was different.
And I think, you are going about it then, even though, it does seem like it's on a smaller scale, but I think it can encapsulate the process of changing any kind of long-held, cultural habits, in that you're asking the question of why is it there in the beginning? Why is it there to begin with? Which I think is the question to ask if you want to change anything. There's a story, there's one saying, which is the death of all creativity is the phrase, we've always done it this way. If you just say, well, that's the way we've always done it, then you may never improve. And there's also another story of Chesterton's fence. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's by G.K. Chesterton. I'll give of course, a paraphrasing and shorten, but it's a farmhand's working on a farm, and there's a fence in the middle of the paddock. And he can't figure out why this fence is in this middle of the paddock. He wants to tear down this fence, wants to get rid of it.
What is a paddock?
Like a farm, like a field.
Okay.
Like a field. So there's just a fence left in the field, and he wants to tear it down. He's saying it's not doing anything. So he goes up to the farmer and asks him, this fence is in the middle of the field. It's not doing anything. I want to tear it down. The farmer tells him, yes, you can tear it down once you come back to me and tell me why it's there in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's like you have to, if there's any change or revolution going on, the reformer must first be able to articulate, okay, why is it there? And then they can go about reforming. So I think you're going about it the right way then, of saying, hey, why is it there? And yeah.
Yeah, because, also I think Hitchens said famously, if something can be inserted without evidence, it can be also,
dismissed
think,
without evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, dismissed. So there was I actually wrote it down. There was a Fabio Giurgel, I think, allegedly started the whipping tradition in Jiu-Jitsu, yeah?
One, yeah, I'm not behind that one at all.
Yeah, I could rant about this also, but not in this podcast.
I'm lucky that I've never even seen that happen in real life, to be honest. Yeah. And if I did, I don't think I'd think I'd still do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but so this is another topic, another day. But what's the point was that Fabio Giurgel did it, and then everybody, a lot of clubs are doing it. I'm definitely against it. And but now Fabio came out and said I was wrong, and he's written articles about it. Like, oh, I was wrong and I was young and I thought it was a good idea and everything. But it's impossible to stop. Now, if the article is out, even Fabio says it's a bad idea, but it has taken the life that its own. Yeah, so it's kind of like lives on. But also as a methodology, like, okay, we whipped and now we know we were wrong and we stopped doing this. So with the clapping also, like, okay, we did it, but now it's like, okay, we might be wrong. It's not like we did it and we can't stop it anymore. That's how science works. It's self-correcting mechanism. It's not rigid. So it's like, okay, we did it. We thought it was a good idea, but now we have data. It's actually weird and we should not do it. And so I don't mind this. I will not laugh at people, go like, ha ha, you did it, you were wrong. That's how it is. You start something, a hypothesis, maybe you do a test, go see how it works. Clearly people are, testing it and they have different reasons, but overall we find it doesn't give any more value if you fix everything else also. And then, maybe we'll stop doing this. So, but I think it's the clapping in a way happens like with the whipping. It takes the life as, how to say it, takes the life its own.
Life of its own, yeah. It takes a life of its own.
And then it's like, there's some people just like, oh, we like it. And even the original founder goes like, oh, it was a bad idea. It won't help anymore. But also I don't mind because, there's all, that's how I like that life goes and time goes. It's just like time passes and new people come in and we make them better. And then the critical mass is bigger than the clappers and maybe they weed themselves out later. So I don't mind. It's also, the clapping goes really run so far that I can't, I'm not also maybe wanting to turn the people that already they like clapping and they're like, oh, you can't take it. Because that when you start to take it from them, they defend it even more. You have to kind of let it go and then maybe they come to realization themselves if the, resistance is gone. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing this consciously, that's when questioning them. I know they're getting pulled back right away that, I'm going to defend my clap. I understand that human behavior, but also I'm talking to people that are not victims yet, or, that are open to discussion and maybe they can do it differently and, change their mind. And so it's not going to be always, oh, you have to change them. No. Just have a discussion and then it's out there, and people can make their mind better in a way, because clearly maybe there wasn't much discussion before it. And sometimes I also find that what I don't like about Jiu-Jitsu a lot is many times coaches are treating other Jiu-Jitsu people like white belt people. And, people are white belts, but I think sometimes they're treating people like white belt people, that they don't have opinions. Mm. Oh, I'm a coach, I'm a black belt, but, the class is full of PhDs and engineers usually.
Too right.
So, that's the thing, just, I don't think it's a good correlation in that sense, but smart people are usually, hesitated. They're in doubt all the time, yeah? So I've heard people that actually know about my teaching methods, and they've said to me that, but I thought maybe Jiu-Jitsu is taught differently. I'm like, how can you think that? You're studying teaching methods, and you should be like the expert, like more than average than us, better expert than us, not an expert in everything in method, but better than us. And you should know that most sports are done by using certain methods, and if Jiu-Jitsu does something different, then you go like, maybe it's right. No, it cannot be right, because it's a sport and we have to still do it like every other physical activity. So I find sometimes that they're like, oh, I'm a white belt and coach is a black belt and I don't know. And, but they're a physical science, maybe PhD. So they're like, sometimes they're in doubt, and it just makes me laugh. Like, dudes, you have the knowledge. I'm like self-taught, but you can go like, okay, I have the credentials to challenge you. Yeah. So why not? But they're sometimes super nice, and, you know, they like Jiu-Jitsu, and, you know, so I find that I also want to give a voice to those educated people that please speak up, you know, and like, if you know something about methodologies and you studied them, you have, you know, physical science degrees, you know, we need those people's inputs, because we can do it better. Because clearly I'm not bashing Jiu-Jitsu coaches that, like, okay, you're like, you know, dinosaurs, because we needed to start somewhere. Coaches were what they were, you know, they were just, I also, you know, I was a coach. I'm not, you know, university educated, but I'm always interested of, you know, how to kind of do a better job. And I'm, you know, always in doubt and challenging myself in a way. And so first generation or whatever generation, maybe they're not the best, you know, academics, but now we have more people and more influence and more like a knowledge how to do things better. And so I wish that coaches would be more, you know, accepted, use more like acceptance towards those ideas, that there's people that know better how to do things than them, because they're only Jiu-Jitsu black belt. They're not Jiu-Jitsu black belt in a methodology, you know? And usually arguments about like, oh, but our gym has created many champions with this method. But usually those guys are like 1,000 people for affiliation. And statistically, you will just create those things by having mat rats and, you know, training hard, and you weed out the good guys. So if you know the statistics a little bit, so this is meant to happen in a way. So, and it's not like, oh, I got the black belt like this, so this is the method. No. Even if you got a black belt, you have to question, was it like the method or was it just you? So I find just people like, I don't know, are so, I hope that gullible is not a bad word, no?
No one, if you were trying to be nice to someone, you wouldn't call them gullible. It's not necessarily bad.
So, but you understand what I mean.
Yes.
You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So because English is not my first, you know, language, that's why people call it, oh, Priit, you're so blunt. You just called like half the world gullible, you know? So you understand what I mean? They're so believing like, oh, this was this, and they don't question stuff.
Yes.
Because they think their coach is like the source, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and is it in your mind, is it that you, like, ideally you want to change things in the methodology to get better results in all those areas of, you know, camaraderie and friendship and social bonds, as well as the performance and retention of technique? And is kind of like this axe you have to grind with the clap like a test where if someone isn't willing to perhaps look at the clap and give it a second thought and question that, then do you think you'll never get them to question anything else? Like, is this kind of like, if you can't get someone to doubt the utility of that part of the methodology, then they're probably not even going to want to hear about the feedback and other parts?
Could be, because I actually think it's a harder route, because it seems so innocent that people usually, why you're going after the clap? It's so like unnecessary, go like a war. So maybe I would have a better chance to go, okay, what about, you know, warm up? But I find every area I go, like everywhere is like, oh, they don't like to talk about warm up. They don't like to talk about this. So, and I know, you know, I haven't thought it out in that sense that, oh, I will do a clap, then I do this, then I get access to those people's minds, and then I get this, because I don't think it's the best approach, you know. But it bothers me, and this is the way I started, you know, and then this is discussion, and it opens up, like I said before, this clapping thing opens up every other options, you know, why you do warm up this way, why you do this. So, and also why I like clapping, because we have to doubt even those small things as clapping. So we have to doubt the bigger things, bigger chunks, you know, how to do a warm up. What is the best jiu-jitsu warm up? Yeah, how we run a class, how we should spar, for what purposes, how we should spar. and technique, how we should learn. Rob was talking about those micro games. I teach backwards, a lot. I teach most things backwards because if you haven't done it, example, I recommend you try it. If you teach triangles and guard passes and all those things backwards, you have crazy results.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't use it, I don't think in a podcast we have time to talk about it, but I'm willing to explain what it is and feedback stuff. And so we should, challenge the big parts, but also the small parts, clapping. Okay. Like even we have discussions like, I've tried different beginnings of the class, like maybe just people gather in a mat, and then, okay, let's start. It's one way, very laid back and stuff. But then we found right now we line up people. And why we do line up? It's a kind of academic way in that sense. In a school, in a physical education class, you line up, you check who's there, and that's kind of, and also it signifies that class starts, that everybody is in a focus, Okay, line up. Now we have the rituals. Yeah, we have a warm up and everything else. Because what we found is like if you just kind of everybody's on a mat and let's go, then everybody's dragging their ass. Let's say like some people are dragging their ass. It's like but everybody's lined up. You're in a class mindset. Go. So we found that maybe there's a better way, but we found the lineup kind of helps to set that. Okay, now it's official. It's 6 o'clock class. So, and people sometimes need that also because you're dealing with sometimes groups with 30 people. If it would be like 2 people, I might not do it, If they're there, they're like, other way the group kind of gets more messier, the tension gets different, So 2 people, why not? Maybe just a more homey environment, Because when I don't know how you started Jiu-Jitsu in that sense, I remember, but if you have a group, 3 to 5 people, you're going to have buddies, yeah? Your buddies, you're kind of rolling each other and everything is more relaxed. Everybody knows kind of what's going on. But then you run let's open our first club. And then people are strangers now, yeah? You have new people in, they're not your buddies. And you go like, oh shit, we need rules. We need this, we need that, And that's why we have rules. And sometimes, we forget why we had rules. And that's sometimes, we had the rules, but why? So that's the questioning thing, that's the clap thing. That why do we line up? Oh, we did it with this because we had those problems. So we can't forget why we had certain, we use certain methods. Because if people ask, why do we line up? I should have an answer.
Yeah.
We do it because we want that effect. But it's not the best way because this is the way I use it just. And if you have a better way, I'm willing to listen. And you go this, try this. But this brings also this benefits. I don't like that. I don't do it. So there's a reasoning why I do things. So it should be debatable because I'm interested of results. And if that the self-determination theory.
Yes.
And there's, the competence, social part, and autonomy.
Yes.
Have we talked about it before? No?
No, we haven't actually.
Okay. So you have time?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. So this is, stolen from my friend Jorgen Matsi, that's psychologist also and works in a southeast city in Tartu. He has a gym actually called Gym. In Estonia, it's Võimla, but it's actually called Gym. So he has gave us lectures and I enjoy listening to him in when he talks about psychology and how things work. So I actually, I use the methodology pretty much every day that those social aspects, autonomy and competence are used. So this is the bonding thing I'm talked about, because I do drills that are progressive resistance, like micro games, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so people should get better. Yeah. So if you do a drill, progressive resistance, if they get better, you raise the resistance. Yeah. And then we have feedback, what was good, what could be better. And then you do a drill again. And it should be better after the fixing mistakes and stuff. So, and the person also gives you later feedback. Oh, I felt this was better than before. And this is still, you have to fix. And, so you feel the competence. You actually got better. So this is our standard feedback stuff. So there is every class, there should be even slight feel of, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also that's why we have a sparring rules that, I talked about the 50-50s and stuff that you can feel, you pull it off. Still it's 60-70%, but you can pull it off. So there is sense of competence in every class. Okay. So Then social aspect is basically covered by this feedback stuff. Yeah, we talk to each other, we switch partners. If you don't know each other in the first day, maybe it's a different class, like fundamentals, you can ask their name. What's your name? Okay, you did this good, this should do better. So everybody gets talked to, and they also introduced by name if you don't know them. So, and also if you do that rolling thing, sparring with the rules, that creates certain like trust bonds, that you let them do stuff, and okay, you help me, I will help you back. And so this is the social interaction that's many times not spoken, not, by theories, but during rolling. You don't speak about it, but kind of you feel the results, that you're connected to that person more. So, and also the competence. And then the autonomy part is very, very important, because you have to do drills where people feel that their choices matter. Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't just follow rules, that they're actually, in the beginning, we don't let them do much choices, left, right, whatever. But then later it's more choices because they know more. Because, how I teach, let's say panda position, like a sitting turtle, you have underhook fight, you have neck fight. And I guess there are hooks also inside. So I usually do call-out drills that go like, that's the recall rule, neck, underhooks. And then the seatbelt is both neck and underhook, yeah? So I do call-out drills to reset the tension. That's very useful. So neck, underhooks, seatbelt, underhooks, neck, to just change their attention, yeah? Otherwise, everything is overwhelming. So I isolate the skill. And if I say free, then they can do their own thing. And also attacker, they can do their own combination of attacks. Otherwise, I dictate, it's a neck, they have to go for a neck and not the other stuff. If it's underhook, they have to go underhook. So I dictate how they are as a partner. But if I say free, as an attacker, you have now a free choice. You can do whatever you want. So your choices matter. And also as a defender, sometimes I give you options how to get out. Let's say if I do armbar escapes, late ones that I promote, is like maybe there's a different options. Oh, sit up. Oh, do this, do that. Free. And now you make your own decisions how you would get out of armbar. Maybe you succeed, maybe you don't, but it was your decisions. And we can do it with the progressive resistance drills that I have to let you out, or I can punish you if you do something completely wrong. So to weed out certain behavior right away. So there's different drills you can do about that, but I make you make a decision. So that's the really important autonomy part, that I have to make you independent and teach you how to make decisions so you get better at those things under stress. If I just say you how to get out, but if your live situation happens, you don't have experience of choice. So this is really, really bonded the way I teach. So so social part, autonomy, and competence. So, and that's what the theory says, that, Jorgen said that if you have those things covered, this is what people are looking for unconsciously when they're staying for activity. So if they're willing to do something, they usually can't explain it by themselves why they're there. They just, I like it here. But if you start to explain, why they like it, they usually have those three competences, like social, friends. You talk about something else also before a class, after a class, in the dressing room. You have people you have something in common with, That's why some nerds, that are bullied in school, they find their sanctuary in a gym. So then you have a competence, yeah? And also everybody maybe you did something good. People noticed. People saw it, At least somebody saw it because that was your partner. So it's always like that social recognition is there also. So you get like many, many things from that gym. And if you use that methodology and also with the feedback and everything, that has to be there anyway. So this is the way. And that's why I also feel that maybe the clap is, not necessary. And I also agree with you that I have to get a signal, because that's what I usually do. I do like, come, go. So I signify where is the beginning, where is the end, and they don't have to go 3, 2, 1,
Yep.
Because you can also say, because some things I don't know, but you mentioned that they do the bringing back with the clapping and with the whistling and different rhythms. They do it with more kids, more children. So
that's just maybe, with the clapping with but even with teenagers and stuff, that's when the whistle or something will be more used, but they won't. Yes. They kind of stop doing the clap.
So, but I think I might be wrong here, but I would say you see a lot of clapping things also in wrestling with kids, and I don't know. Probably I can be a bias right now. Oh, adult wrestlers will not clap. I think they do, but I think it's mostly also used with kids, with some youth in wrestling. Because usually when I see, in flow grappling and all those things, I've seen also wrestlers clap. But it's most cases, it's kids. So maybe not adults, So because it could be also argued, I understand also with kids, I could understand that better because it's more play for them. And you usually tend to teach kids differently than adults because with kids, it's right away. You can't talk anything. It's just like games after game after game, Because if you start to explain some butterflies in 5 minutes, you have kids climbing the walls already, So actually, I think we should teach similar ways also adults, but we kind of tend to teach more precise techniques and less games. But I would say that's why I try to keep it my section in a class, usually between, let's say, 6:10 to 6:30. Maximum 20 minutes, with me explaining, them trying a little bit, switching partners, adding new details. It's a very short amount. And then mostly it's drilling and sparring with rules. So it should be more like games and drilling and trying. So less kind of very detailed, it makes people yawn,
Yep.
So, and there's definitely time for those long explanations. There is a necessary, sometimes deeper study, but those are different classes. Maybe there's a lecture seminar. Everybody comes in and then we concentrate and then we talk about theories and stuff. So there's definitely need for those kind of classes, but I don't think the ordinary classes should run by this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also I'm actually going to look it up now if the adults clap in a wrestling class.
I wanted to.
Because that's interesting because definitely I feel with kids it's more common. And so, because like I see, it's not, I'm so misunderstood, that Priit doesn't like clapping. It's like, God damn it. I just want to, have a discussion about it because it represents something bigger than just clapping.
I understand that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it represents the mindset and I also need, and maybe too passionate need or whatever to make things better.
I get you.
So, yeah, so that's kind of my agenda or whatever with the clapping stuff. So it's not only like I'm on a crusade against that. I want to understand it better, and so I'm willing to listen,
And that might lead us into a good segue of when it comes time to end your classes. How do you end your classes?
Actually. It's a very weird question because we don't have an end.
What?
Yes, because it's a good question because I thought about it actually once. Because what ritual we have it like this basically, and then I explain it.
Yep.
We have on a 1 hour class, 10 minutes warm up, 20 minutes techniques, 30 minutes drilling with feedback and stuff, and then basically class ends, and then we have a half an hour sparring. So you could argue that sparring is included to the class, or you can argue that sparring is separate. So most people don't leave after the class, they stay to spar, but there is no official ending basically for the class, just that other class starts after them. And usually there's another class after my class.
So these people then still sparring on the side, or what happened?
No, I usually kick them out.
Okay, well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, because I usually, let's say, if the other class starts 7:30 after my class, mine starts at 6, so other class 7:30. So I say something like 7:27, guys, that's it. Thank you, and see you around, yeah?
Yeah.
And then that's usually, sometimes the timer halfway, I just stop the timer, I go like, boom, that's it, go. And people and we tried also, it looked very silly. We tried it, but I don't like it. We tried this, that everybody get together, if it's a gi class, yeah, let's say. And then everybody's super sweaty, everybody's like, hair is like this, and the gis everything is super wet, And then, let's line up now. yeah, and everybody has to put their wet gis and everything on and tie the belt, get to the line, and then, then whatever the ending is, I actually felt really stupid doing that. Because why is that ritual needed? Like, everybody's sweaty, everybody's already like maybe hanging on, they're tired. And maybe some people leave before the last round, even because they're home and work and whatever. So I don't say they have to be mandatory till the end. And I just felt super weird that also some people had, some no-gi rounds and some gi rounds between, and then have to force them to put their sweaty things on, tie up the belt, and then I say, okay, you can go home, and now take the belt off again and take the gi off again. So it seemed like some unnecessary extra tradition that's just there for a tradition. And
all right, let's not touch the end of class ritual. Then, I mean, we may have already gored enough sacred bulls with the clapping. We can't go into the end of class.
That's my reasoning, and right, it works. Climb start. Okay, you guys can go, and so I find it's very refreshing. I don't think it's like disrespectful on, oh, you need to do this and that. And I think everybody's super happy. They rolled, they got achievement, competence, and everything else, And then it's nice to end it with this, I think, with having a good high. Mm-hmm. And I've done my job well when they got to try new things, because I monitor the sparrings, And I see they try new things, that they're being good partner. So I've done my job, so I don't need a reaffirmation. Yeah, what's the word?
Reaffirmation, yeah.
Yeah, reaffirmation that, okay, thank you, Priit, and no, everybody. It's like, I don't need that. And I don't think it's, I don't mind if some do it, but I just feel silly when after the hard rolling, we just have to line up for a second, put everything on, and then take it off immediately. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's just unnecessary. And it's just there for just because.
That one, I think I could find you some research on as importance of like concluding a class, and as long as you're using it, maybe not the shake off, but to reinforce some of the points that you maybe discussed during the lesson as takeaways of the technique points.
That's different. But in that sense, I agree with you that if you want to do that after sparring, you get everybody in already. And then you do like, okay, recap.
Yes.
We did this. So I would do this before sparring. And kind of after so I would do this. That's why I find that like some people leave, and go home and everything, so I can make them. But in that sense, the recap, whatever, if I would do it, I would do it end of the, technical class and before sparring. Guys, this was this. Try to do this more now, 60%, pull off this. And I usually say that in every sparring, kind of what the goal is in sparring. So I conclude the technical class. And so in that sense, I agree with you that there should be a closure. Okay, what is now the purpose of sparring? And you try to pull it off. So we conclude with a thought and give you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I agree with that. So, but I find it in the end, when everybody, like a third is left and everybody's tired, and then to get them all focused again to some details. And in some cases, I also, let's say, I agree with you, but not in a maybe class environment. Then maybe they drill just, and then after the drills, I would ask them like, okay, what is your feedback to me? Could you pull it off? Could you do this? And even, let's say, when I do armbar seminars in Sweden, and I ask, like, guys, you can call me out, but I saw you pulling off armbars actually in a real resistance, armbar defenses. Yep. And they were like, yeah, Priit, actually, we pulled it off. Yeah. So I have, in the seminars, I have those kind of conclusion feedback sometimes to me. Like, how do you felt? We did some drilling now, 20 minutes. How do you feel about it? Everybody sits in. We would discuss a little bit. And then we drill it again. So it's kind of like a feedback between me and a group, not amongst themselves, so to speak. So in that sense, I agree with you. We should have a conclusion, but I use it differently. So
Okay. Well, that is interesting. I wouldn't know if there would be anything to say that it should happen before or after a sparring session. Because if it's free rolling, then probably not, right? It is That's more when there's, like, if I'm thinking all the evidence of it would be for a teaching portion, and that no studies, I imagine, would have happened with anything similar to like a free rolling sparring session. It would have been the lesson, the methodology, introduction, body of the lesson with delivery of information, and then a conclusion, not then go off and do whatever you want section.
Yeah, so in that sense, I agree, because if it's just a sparring, I don't find it's necessary to conclude. If it's a seminar and certain specific drilling, then I think conclusion could be pulled off. What's need to be changed? What do you feel, guys? In seminars, I do those things.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So that's definitely, I agree that I need to feel what group thinks. Do they believe in technique? What we have to fix? How they felt? Okay, you feel guys in danger doing the late armbar escapes? Okay, then I have to do some drills to make them feel safer. So in that kind of feedback, I use. But again, like free rolling, I think you agree that that's maybe not the format,
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. So, and also I think a strict beginning, strict ending, so I just feel just after the sparring, it's super weird to line them up. Okay, thank you, and then go. And because I kind of praise their behavior because they did it. And I don't find I need to bug them anymore because they did something hard. They did the class, they concentrated, and they rolled, some of them half an hour. And that is a praise enough already. You earned your freedom. Now go home. I don't need to okay, you need to pay me respect and now we end it. No, you did a good job. You earned your freedom, and till the next time.
I like that. I like that a lot. And that's probably a good place to conclude this one. I think talking about the conclusions of class might be a good place to conclude this chat, I think.
We talked quite a long.
Yeah, it's a long talk, but I think it was necessary. We got through a fair bit of you came with that list of things to talk over from the clap. I mean, did we get through most of it? There's not anything there that's going to bug you?
I said actually everything I wrote down. I mentioned all the thoughts that I wrote down because I know what my rant is about, and I've done it in my head a lot. I talk to myself quite a bit, and then I wrote them down just a couple hours before our conversation. So I was like, because there's still, a lot of thoughts that usually I felt what people said to me and this and that. And so it was a good starting point because in a way I'm happy with the podcast. Yeah. Because I think it was really kind of good. It was kind of like out clapping, but I think it opened up many doors to talk about.
It did.
And so we'll hear the feedback, but I think it was, again, I think something different that maybe you haven't done with your other guests.
No, I'm always open to trying the new things and seeing how they go. And if people want to send their, the hate mail, the happy clappers are going to send it through. Where should they direct it to, Priit? How do people get in touch with you?
I guess my name is Priit Mihkelson, so it's a Priit, Priit Mihkelson, yeah. So gmail.com. I'm in Facebook. I'm ģitzvulkan Priit Mihkelson. Not Priit that I usually people say because of English rules of two I's, not in a row. I'm Priit. So that's usually, I don't mind if people want to contact me, but the only kind of request I have, that just be less emotional and be more rational. And because if you really want to get something out of me, and I'm willing to discuss, and also the people that want to actually have a discussion, I don't mind hate mails and just read it and okay, but then be willing to change your mind also, because I don't think it's worth arguing when you're like, oh, my stance is this and I'm not going to change my mind. Then what's the point of arguing, So, and be knowledge yourself, take knowledge that if I say something that makes sense, that in a way maybe you feel you have to change your mind. So that's why sometimes people are afraid of discussions, because they have to protect their environment, and if some other thing sneaks in, they're like, world is collapsed, So they're mostly having emotional opinions about things and just like, scream. So somebody it was a fun discussion, but somebody just mentioned about the turtle, just the last thing, just example.
Yep.
Oh, I don't like turtle. Turtle is an unathletic position. I was like, actually, if you look, I didn't say to him, but I thought later but actually look at sprinters. They're actually starting in turtle, understand?
Yeah.
And it's pretty goddamn athletic position.
Yeah.
And also you can compare athletic for what, because clearly if you're playing guard, guard is better athletic for leg presses, and turtle is more athletic for sprinting or standing up. So we have to also consider like athletic for what. But it was just like, oh, turtle is not athletic position compared to side control or mount or, people just have kind of like not much rationalized answers. Just like they don't like it and they just throw things just because of throwing things. And a bad thing is that if I ask you a question and then you change your mind, that means you lost the argument. So like you change your argument, that means you lost the argument before. So that's why I definitely welcome discussion. People have rational things, why I like it, what's my proof, why do I do it? I'm willing to listen to them and have a discussion as adults. And also if somebody has very emotional statements, bring it. I love to laugh. And and I guess it makes me also sad in the same time, but I don't mind them also. So yeah, bring it.
Bring it. That's what I like to hear. Well, it's been a wonderful conversation, a good discussion. I guess we'll see what I do next class, if I'm going to clap or not. I mean, it's all going to come down to, we'll see when the rubber meets the road. But I think you've put forward a very good case of questioning any just ingrained habit passed down from people that we may not know why we're doing something. There's always room for improvement.
And just then now you know,
Mm-hmm.
Because now every time you do is like, now you know.
It's going to bug me. I'm going to hear every time I clap, I'm going to hear Priit in my head. Why you do that? Why you do that?
You're not the first one that says that.
That's beautiful. Well, thanks so much, Priit. Again, I hope you enjoy when you get out of quarantine or out of isolation.
Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah,
hopefully tomorrow. And I'm sure it's crazy. The year flew by, so I'm sure hopefully we'll do it again in the future.
Yeah, in a way it was a long time, but in a way it went like really fast. And then it's like time is weird. So yeah, and if you're up for it, I think it's year seems to be a good interval that. Some things that happened, some ideas, and some ideas crashed. I think that's a good interval if you want to revisit,
For sure. It's unfortunate that you're not down here next month like you were originally planned to be. That would have been great.
That was a dream trip, like Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand, maybe even Japan, Thailand.
But that's the crazy world we're living in at the moment.
Anyway, as a feedback has been from down under there, that people are still interested, and we'll see if the corona ends, when it ends, and what's the world like after that, and then we go from there.
Yep. Who knows what's going to happen, but I know that I'll be watching your stuff, Priit, and I appreciate very much you coming on and having these chats, because I know that people will enjoy them, and I certainly enjoy it too.
It was good. I enjoyed it very much. Anyway, like I said before in the Facebook, thank you for doing your things. It's your podcast. I think it's you're having interesting people always on, and it's just I know it's I don't know how a lot of work it is, but I know it's it's work, and I really appreciate you doing that. So it gives people a voice. Yeah,
it's all enjoyment. So it's work, but at the moment it's still fun. So it's not really work. So I'm enjoying it. Happy days. All right, mate. That's it for now, and I'll speak to you online in the future.
Cool.
No doubt.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
You have been listening to the Sonny Brown Breakdown. Until next time, you can visit sonnybrown.net to find out more ways to break it down.